Ludion has really outdone themselves this time with the Odyssey expansion, giving us so much to feast on. The main feature of it, the grav ship, adds a whole different way to play. You live out of a small ship flying around the planet, living off the land, picking up crew, and getting materials to expand your ship. But you're not just limited to the surface of the planet. You can fly into space a little bit, exploring bases and asteroids in low planet orbit. There's a lot to see with the grav ship, and while you can get it eventually in other scenarios, I'm just gonna jump straight into one with the new scenario added with the DLC. In the grav ship scenario, for the benefit of starting with one, the game is going to make sure you use it. Your colonists touched a mechanoid beacon, and now the mech faction is going to be hunting you across the planet. Every time you land in a new location, you have a time limit until they find you and send a bunch of bots down to kill you. Agriculture is out of the question for a long time. You'll be confined to a small, constantly moving space. I'm playing with Cassandra on Blood and Dust difficulty since it's been a year since I last played, so I'm kinda rusty. I'm going with a domination gang based idealism cause it fits pretty well with the grav shift gameplay. I'm gonna roleplay like we're a sect of Mormons, so I'm naming my colonists appropriately with Mormon names. We got 3 colonists, Samuel, Macy, and Taylor, who have a good spread of skills, except for cooking, but we'll make do. We start on a mech satellite orbiting the world, and right now we just gotta loot what we can so we can expand the ship. The mechs are going to be on us very fast, so I have to move quickly. To expand the ship, you need to build grav ship substructures, and each tile of that requires a grav light panel. The core can support up to 500 tiles of the substructure in the blue circle before you need an extender, which requires a grav core. I have a good 8 hours till the mechs arrive, so I just decide to start getting on with some initial expansion and name the ship the Desiree. Samuel, what clouds are you watching? They're below you, dude. I was kinda curious to see what the mechs would pull up to kill me with, so I stuck around to see what I'm in for. Yeah, I don't need to learn this lesson more than once. Don't stick around for the mechs to show up. Now, we just have to pick a nice spot for us to land the ship beneath us. Man, women pilots, am I right, guys? Anyways, we're gonna be sticking around here for a while, and we gotta make this ship into something we can live out of. We got a long way to go though, because the grav ship start doesn't give you much tech. So from now on, the only way to expand the ship is by doing these quests that pop up that tip you off about the location of a grav core and panels. They aren't easy though, so we're gonna have to hold off on them for a while. I gotta set up the basics for this colony, being able to cook and store food, learn things, and set up the people's roles in the ship. Trying to enjoy the simple times to get this colony off to a good start. Uh-oh, we got a Karen here to complain about the noise. Well, I'm sure we could talk this out. It's called de-escalation, guys. You wouldn't get it. Cassandra is fast with the follow-up to that raid. Not even a month into the game, they're sending child soldiers at me. This girl is a pyromaniac, and they gave her an incendiary launcher to use against me. Why do I feel like this is some sort of twisted birthday trip for her? Like her parents gave her that launcher as a gift, and she just had to use it. Well, we're not gonna die to a teenage girl, especially one named Ingrid. Well, maybe Ingrid is on our side after all. You know she thought she was about to hit the nastiest trick shot, and now they're both gonna die. There are definitely a few oversights with this DLC, like pollution problem quest. You're gonna just dump their trash and leave before the pollution is a problem, so they're literally free money. But finally, after 15 days here, the game is letting me know it's time to think about leaving. However, before I leave, I want to expand my ship as much as possible. Unfortunately, we're starting to have some mental health problems in these final days, with Samuel crashing out over getting rejected by Macy. It's not so big of a deal when he has a lot of time to get over it, but when he goes into a daze the day before we need to leave, man, it sucks being in so much pain right now. Do you know what pain is waiting for you tomorrow, dude? I tried to give him time to calm down, but with only a few hours left, I had to grab him. Yeah, he won't be happy about it, but at least he'll be alive. I didn't really have a plan of what to do next, so I just picked a random spot nearby and took off. I landed near an ancient complex and went to check it out. Inside, we found many old skeletons, but hidden in a stash was valuable knowledge on advanced lighting. Thanks, Cassandra. But after we got back to the ship and talked to a trader passing through, they gave us some good intel about mercenaries hiding out in an old structure. Then we got another tip about a grav core we could pick up on the planet surface too. I mined most of the resources I wanted from this map, so as soon as people started giving me trouble, I was good to leave. I decided I would fly to a nice spot near the mercenary location. Why not fly directly to it? Honestly, I don't know why. This was my first run. I was kinda stupid early on playing this, cause as soon as I landed, we packed up and traveled to the Merc base. In hindsight, it's pretty funny seeing my colonists pull up here. We are dealing with supposedly very well-armed professional mercenaries in the 56th century, and 2 out of 3 of my colonists are armed with weapons from the medieval times. But just because we're out here looking like those soldiers you forgot to upgrade in late game Civ, doesn't mean we can't win. Macy takes a peek inside to see 2 security turrets aiming at her. Fortunately, those turrets have stormtrooper aim. Macy explores other entrances to find a nice weapons locker, along with a bullet to the left arm. So I get to group to go in from another entrance. They had friends in those crypto sleep pods, but I didn't give them a friendly wake-up call.
You out of your goddamn mind?
With all the mercs dead, it was time to check the rest of the complex. Just because the occupants were dead doesn't mean it's safe though. There was a safe that contained a map to another complex with loot to explore. All I needed to do after that was clean up the turrets, and then I could help myself to the massive gun locker these mercs were sitting on. Once we got back, we got a quest to defend a shuttle, and the extra pair of hands was very tempting. Nathan may only be a child, but at 13 he could definitely help out, and these quests are so easy they practically finish themselves. But speaking of an extra pair of hands, Pig Hug would also be helpful, and although she claims she would never leave her pig faction, we have ways of making her help out. Our group has become a lot stronger after this landing, but now it's time to look elsewhere. There were 2 facilities worth investigating in the south, and I wanted to start heading over. This map contained an ancient danger that, with our upgraded arsenal, I felt comfortable looking into. I made sure I got all hands on deck for this one. I didn't know what to expect to run out of those walls. went way better than I expected. Now we just had to see who were inside the sleep pods. Docile soldiers who are heavily wounded? This ship crew is about to get a lot bigger. Macy saved their lives with the herbal meds we foraged, and once they recovered, they were down to join the ship. Although, in my eagerness for more hands, I now have to deal with another prominent ideologian in the colony. It's especially annoying because their beliefs require me to do things I literally don't know how to do. So they're going to be very cranky with me for a while. Those poor newcomers barely had any time to get used to the world because literally the next day we got a raid. They're dropping in right on top of us. Literally. We got no time to get cover, we just gotta assemble a firing line. I can't believe they really walked out of that room, saw something like this, and tried to make a run for it. Very brave. Smelly here is talented, but she is also unwaveringly loyal, so she's just gonna have to be another slave. Fortunately, Macy was able to patch up her wounds just in time before she bled out. For the actual residents of the colonies, I'm going to make sure they all fit in with my naming theme, so I give our new guests some proper nicknames to fit in with us. Cassandra is really keeping up the pressure against us though. Not even 2 whole days later, we got mechs pulling up. They're not in full force, it's just a small squad, which doesn't really make sense. If the mechs know where I am, why are they half-assing their raid? I guess they were short-staffed that day? Shout out to the mech who's just ignoring combat to attack our bedroom. You know what I hate more than humans? A good night's sleep! Once everyone recovered from that raid, it was time to check out that ancient stockpile. I sent a large group over there, and while the stockpiles were easy to reach, the problem was that they take forever to hack into. In hindsight, that's probably why you're supposed to land a ship on these maps instead of near it. Since I can already tell we're gonna have a bunch of crash outs before I get to even one stockpile, I just leave it for the good of the group. After a brief rest, I send the group to the warehouse we learned about from the Merc base. At least this will be a lot more straightforward. We just have to open the door and deal with the automated defenses in the buildings. All of that for medicine that we're just gonna use to heal the injuries we got from going through this building. When they get back, the game lets me know that the mechs are getting close to fighting me for real this time, so I gotta leave soon. The colonists pick up some food to go and head off to the next destination. The ship is getting kinda cramped now. I desperately need a grav core and panels from this crashed mech platform. So I get my best fighters together and send them over. The mech installations are a whole other level of difficulty. The fortified walls force you to enter through the blast doors, so your approach strategies are very limited. Since the bottom facility was a closer walk, I decided I'd go there first. These facilities have long, narrow hallways connecting rooms that are large and empty with many walls and corners, can make combat very difficult. With the unknown of what the next room contains, it is very tense. The mechs are dormant though, so sometimes you could plan your way of attack. Having a melee guy here is very helpful. Galen, with his plate armor made of uranium, can tank a lot of damage, while people with heavy SMGs and auto shotguns clean up. I also gotta move kinda quickly here because spending time in these complexes isn't an enjoyable experience for my colonist. And like an idiot, I don't have my ship parked on the map for people to take a breather in. At least I find the panels quickly, but I still need the grav core to use those panels. Looks like the mechs were studying how to fish here? I guess even genocidal AI needs a relaxing hobby to take the edge off. In the next room, there is a grav engine that I need to loot the grav core from. However, I do need to deal with all the guards that are in the room with it. Man, sometimes I forget that you could just get one tapped in this game. Okay, this is new. They can shoot through walls now? It's so funny how one of my top guys in this fight against robots is the guy with a longsword in plate armor. At least we got the grav core secured with only the slave dying. So, as much as I want to explore the rest of these installations for loot, my colonist literally can't handle it. I brought 2 days of food and we're hours away from everyone having a mental breakdown. I already got the most important stuff, so I just have everyone pick up a chunk of the panels and send them home. Galen, well, when he settles down, he can make the walk back by himself. He's in charge of the most important loot of them all, the fishing research. But now, with the grav core, I can make an extender that gives me more space to build a ship in and allows me to attach another 250 panels. The crew immediately gets to work with the help of a new member who will go by Ashley. Over the next week, the ship will be properly compartmentalized with bigger spaces for each function. A larger workshop, a bigger barracks, a bigger brig, an actual kitchen with a dining area, a proper hospital, and much more storage space. Desiree was a home to this crew and now was actually looking like one. However, it would be nice to have actual bedrooms instead of this barrack setup, but that would require me looting another grav core stash, which meant either going up to space or hitting a relay some distance away. The space station, though, is out of the question since I only have 3 spacesuits and don't know how to make more for now. We would have to make a stop along the way to the ground relay though, and these farming settlements had enough food to feed us for weeks, so the next move was clear. This landing did not go unnoticed though. I obviously had to sortie them. Samuel and Taylor had rifles to bait them towards my prepared defenses.
Oh.
Maybe this is why you're supposed to spread out when you're under bombardment. Well, at least we have half the crew able to fight. Thankfully, Samuel and Taylor are so cracked at shooting, they scare away the siege. And now we have a mortar to use for later, plus a good amount of food to eat while everyone recovers. When I arrive to the corn farm, it is manned by those imps who are hilariously underarmed compared to me. Once again, I would use Sam and Taylor to bait those primitives over to the kill zone I set up in the mountain pass. For the cost of Taylor getting light injuries, we got nearly 2,000 corn to eat. As the group brings the corn home, we get an interesting quest offer. There is a bounty on a fugitive named Larissa, and if we get it, we'll be sent a shield generator. However, before I set off from this map for the grav core, I noticed that there's an ancient danger here, and with our larger group, I think we could easily handle it. Okay, that could have gone better. Somehow one of them even ran after poor Nathan. Leave the boy alone. just when I thought I was gonna build a medicine stockpile, I do this to myself, bruh. I don't even know what I'm getting out of this yet. I still have to open the pods. So, I get my colonists that can actually stand to see what's inside. Yeah, just continue to walk one at a time into my firing line and swords. Elite soldiers, by the way. At least Sky here has some potential for the colony after she gets converted. And we did unbox a tech core, which I'm gonna use to get the multi-analyzer for free. However, there comes a complication. As everyone is trying to recover from that fight, a man-hunting pack of lynxes comes strolling in. And as much as I'd love to just leave and ignore them, I need that tech core in the structure before I go. So everyone is just gonna have to spend the next few days inside the ship twiddling their thumbs. Some people don't take it well. Imagine jumping a person while they're sleeping and losing the fight. You're an embarrassment, Caitlin. Once the wait is over, I pick up the core and head off, eventually landing on Rimworld Island, which held the mech relay. To get the materials from this relay, I would have to destroy the 3 machines stabilizing it, which of course were guarded by mechs. So, one by one, I had to clear them out, starting with Taylor and Samuel, wounding them from a safe distance. Didn't you guys take out a raid by yourselves? What happened?
Eventually.
Now, I could hack it, but it's way faster to smash it, but it does come with a downside. They come in very scattered, so it isn't too hard to kill them, and this also means more mechs to scrap for parts, so I'm just gonna keep doing it this way. What are we even doing here, guys?
12 seconds later.
How could you miss? It was 3 feet in front of you.
We actually lost a 3v1 against one Scyther. I do eventually clear all 3 relays, and the final response is a squad of pikemen, who outrange our guns and make it very dangerous to stay outside. But they aren't hard to deal with, you just have to wait till they come very close and jump them. It was all worth it for the prize. The ship expansion can begin immediately. The ship crew is gonna have their very own bedrooms, but the prison barracks is getting converted to a laboratory. By the way, at some point, Elijah got into a relationship with our slave Smelly. They claim they're deeply in love with each other, yet Smelly remains unwaveringly loyal to her home. Kinda crazy that she picked the faction that thought it was a good idea to drop her in the middle of a ship and get gunned down over her alleged true love, but that's just me. I wanted to get working on hunting down Larissa, but our ship lacked the range at the moment and we needed to make more spacesuits, so until we're ready, we're gonna camp out on a beach in the meantime. A perfect opportunity for the garbage team to pounce on us. They had good numbers and some decent equipment, but they left me the chance to entrench myself near the ship. I can't say they're very advanced defenses, but my enemy is gonna bounce off them regardless. Their battlefield tactics leave a lot to be desired. The madman actually did it. Elijah proposed to the woman we're enslaving. The game is telling me Smelly agreed, but let's be real here. I don't think she had a choice. They aren't even allowed to share a bed together, yet I'm supposed to believe she's for this marriage? My suspicions are confirmed when Smelly finally snaps and attempts to gain her freedom. The first person she shoots is her Fiance, oh boy. At least we didn't have to kill her, but Elijah surely ain't gonna be feeling too good about this. He threw a tantrum from the pain, but I'm not sure if it's the pain in his leg or his heart. When I had 8 spacesuits ready, we finally set off for Larissa's hideout. Finally, after 2 years, we were going back to space. The 8 crew members stepped off, trying to figure out the best way to enter the base. We entered through the breach, trying to avoid getting caught in the Hunter drone blast. Not gonna ask where this milk is coming from, just like how I'm not gonna ask how Macy is doing first aid through a space helmet. I have Macy hack into an open terminal and see that it disables a turret. So, to make this easier for me, I go around the facility and hack into all the terminals I see. Now, it was time to bust in and find the people I'm looking for. With some smoke packs, we can rush through this turret's line of sight and breach the inner part. Our main prize had been claimed, but there was still so much of the facility left to explore. However, certain people aren't liking their stay up here too much, and others just aren't being careful where they walk. Well, after we've seen everything, at least we can just chill a bit until the ship is ready to fly again. I think they're still a bit mad about the last relay I hit. Fortunately, I have plenty of time to prepare because they're aggroing on the remaining prison defenses. You really picked a great time to have a mental breakdown, Ashley. With how much my colonists struggle with Scythers, I'm so glad I only ever deal with these one at a time. 2 Scythers would have been an apocalyptic threat to this ship. So it's time to return back to the surface for some fresh air. And a warm welcome! The garbage team was gonna siege the ship, and you may think, well, good thing you have the shield generator, right? Well, you see, they're actually bugged in this version of the game, so I'm gonna have to kill these mortars fast. The riflemen move across the frozen lake to take aim at the siege camp. And now it was time to go. Everything was going perfectly to plan though. The garbage team moving across the frozen lake didn't have a chance. I wanted to expand the ship more, but the next closest graph core was just out of reach. So I got another idea. Everyone keeps trying to siege me, why don't I try to siege someone else? Our victims were going to be the Poipog in a nearby village. Just by luck, they have a mortar to defend themselves. Loaded with incendiary shells. It's times like this, I really wish the shield generator worked. Fortunately, they only had 5 of those shells, and we contained the fire, so they only burned down a few things. It was time to actually start our siege, and give those pigs a taste of their own medicine. Wow, kind of suffering from success here. I didn't even get to have fun with the mortars, and they're already attacking me. At least they're smarter than the garbage team, knowing not to directly attack me where I'm entrenched. You know, considering how scuffed my setup was, I don't know how it went this well for me. There's still one resident left there, and I'm just confused why he didn't leave. Bro woke up with his village looking like this and didn't ask a single question. Taylor literally strafing him with sniper rounds, and he doesn't care. Only when he was nearly dead with his arm shot off, he was like, maybe I should do something, but they did have some useful stuff for me to loot off of them. Like, now I realize the importance of fire foam poppers. Also, they had a masterwork revolver in their dining area, which is unironically better than most of the weapons I'm equipped with. However, as the high of victory wears off, I make a troubling revelation. Those pigs blew up all my reserve fuel. You know, the fuel I need to fly around the map and run all the generators that power things on the ship. But that's not a big problem, since I could just get some wood and make some... Oh, right. Also, food situation ain't too great either. You know it's bleak when you have to rip out the floors for a source of wood. As for the food, well, I could give us some time by growing rice in hydroponics, but I'm gonna need some meat from wild animals if I'm gonna have enough food to survive the trip to space. I doubt the mechs are gonna be sitting on a crate of beans for me to grab up there. The map tile next in mine reported extra wildlife around, but when I arrived there, and maybe this is on me for not being realistic about what lives in the desert, I was very disappointed with what was available. Smelly tried another rebellion against us, but her escape strategy was questionable. Yeah, throw hand grenades at the wall with your back turned to the door. Elijah clearly doesn't love you for your intelligence. As I wait for the ship to be operational again, I see the most unfortunate timing of events ever. But you know what? Those mechs had to walk by those humans for hours, if not days. And now when someone else sees them together, they start killing? Something ain't right about those bots. They're being performative about their hatred of humans. I just can't prove it yet. Not only did those visitors sacrifice themselves to soften up the machines, they also left us a bunch of food to eat. Almost a full day's worth here. I'm not heartless though. I did save the life of the last member of that group. Roka's lived a long life, but his story isn't ending yet. I'm doing some final preparations for my trip to space while Roka recovers. I was hoping to send him on his way before we left, but the game forced a change in plans. A crew of bandits, including Macy's daughter, is preparing a siege against me. Looking at what I'm up against, I really don't want to fight this. If anything goes wrong, like, God forbid, my fuel gets hit again, I'm not going to be able to go to space for weeks. Sometimes the best solution is the easiest one, where we just run away. Poor Roka is going to have to go with us. His people are going to hate us a bit for doing that, which is just unfair. You're saying you'd rather me leave the old man by himself with a group of bandits? Whatever, guys. After everyone suits up to get on the mech satellite, I see Macy is getting close to having a breakdown. Minus 20 mood over 30 days for running away from your daughter who's gonna shoot mortars at us. Good thing I have a mind numb serum because I can't deal with this nonsense while we're on an important mission. It doesn't take long after we enter to find some company. Each of those lit up tubes is holding a mech, and they all need to be cleaned out. The overwhelming firepower makes short work of the mechs when they're by themselves. However, every room contains a new surprise for me to discover, and sometimes that just forces you into a bad situation. I've barely searched 4 rooms and I'm already down half my fighting force. Starting to think I may have came here a bit too early. I'm literally fighting the mechs on their home turf where they got their best units, and vac suits only do so much. After some rest and recovery, I get the people who weren't hit to go back in and continue the expedition to find the stored gravlight panels. When not caught in a tight hallway, the party can do pretty well, clearing out the patrolling mechs and smothering the ones who come out of the tubes. So, at least when Caitlin has her tantrum, she won't get jump scared by a random mech. However, it is definitely not lost on me how bad it is that half the party got knocked out of action already. Regardless, the 4 continue on and glimpse the prize we came here for. It's only protected by 4 Militaurs, a pikeman, and of course the giant centipede. Now, of course, I get super lucky and trigger the whole room to wake up. There's no way I'm gonna push into that room when they have all of that in there, so I need to bait them towards me. Okay, we're definitely not gonna fight that centipede down a long, narrow hallway. Not trying to recreate the Vader hallway scene from Rogue One. Elijah is way too close to losing it, so I have him put down his charge rifle and walk to the hospital. This is eventually down to a 3v1 against the centipede, and I position the crew carefully to face it once it walks through the door. What follows is the longest minute of a gunfight in Rimworld to me. We were hitting it so many times from every direction, and while we took some hits, we kept peeking around the corners and lighting it up until eventually that metal beast went down for good. I'm glad the mechs were sitting on a stockpile of Glitter World medicine because we were going through our entire medicine stockpile here. It did all pay off though. We were able to reach the grav engine and access another grav core. There was still quite a bit more to this complex, so I bravely took some colonists who recovered and tried to see if there was any other treasures to grab here, but the game quickly smacked me back to my senses to make me realize that I'm lucky I got this far and I should go. I got everyone back on the ship so I could leave as soon as the engines were ready. Rimworld morality is so warped. I'm taking another relationship hit from Mocha's faction for taking him with me. Like, do they just want me to kill the old man? Why are they hating on me for not leaving him in places he'll immediately die in? Our landing options aren't great with the limited amount of fuel we have, but the Desiree crew manages to find a somewhat decent spot. We've come a long way in this campaign, from barely escaping hordes of killer mechs seeking us, to actually hitting them where they live and winning. With that accomplishment, I'm kinda ready to call this campaign. I'm aware there is an ending where you kill the mech hive mind, but I feel like that's just so many hours away, especially with how I play, and to be honest, I didn't really go into this campaign with much of a goal outside of enjoying the new Odyssey content. I do really like it though, and definitely would make more Rimworld content if you all are interested enough in it. So, like the video if you want me to make more, and so other people see this video too. If we get past 8,000 likes, I'll definitely find an interesting challenge or themed playthrough to follow through on. Thank you to my alumni for supporting me on Patreon. These videos take a long time to make, and of course the algorithm doesn't like that too much, but I think putting the time and effort into a good video is worth it in the end, and Patreon really helps me continue to do that. Y'all will get your next video a lot faster though, so hopefully y'all tune in for that, alright? Bye bye.